Hey guys, it's Ryan with Fluid Health. Today bringing you another episode of Science-Powered Fitness. And today we're going to talk about a grouping of muscles that we really don't target in fitness. A lot of times the pelvic floor musculature. For females, this is often a concern, as we know that 30% of the female populations experience some type of issues with the pelvic floor, prolapsing, again, the dissension of the organs that kind of push through the tension of this webbing of the bottom diaphragm of our body. First, to know what the anatomy is, there's muscles that basically create almost like a webbing or a basket that supports the dissension of intra-abdominal pressure. And essentially, remember, we've talked about this in the past, when you breathe in, your diaphragm pushes down, and so the organs displace posteriorly, or inferiorly, to use directional issues here today. So they pushes down into this basket or webbing of muscles. So you have your iliopubo and ischiococcygeal muscles, and you have some ligaments down there that basically supports this pressure. So if we have excess dissension or too much intra-abdominal pressure, because maybe we have some diaphragmatic issues going on, so diaphragm's overactive because it's not properly supported, you get all this dissension down on the pelvic floor musculature, and that can start to weaken those attachment points. What's important to recognize is that continence, digestion, gastrointestinal, respiratory issues, and again, intrinsic stability of the spine are all interconnected. And so the idea here is that if we have a proper engagement of what's called the active control subsystem, these are the muscles that support the stability of the spine, including the sacrum and the innominants, the two sides of your pelvis. And obviously, again, that pelvic floor is attached to all of those structures. If it's properly maintained between the abdominal tone, the diaphragm and the breathing patterns, and this pelvic floor musculature, you're going to have a healthy lumbopelvic system. The idea here is that there's a differential in force that creates imbalances, puts too much pressure on those muscles, and they start to break down or lose their elasticity. So oftentimes people do these Kegel muscle grouping exercises, which is kind of contracting the anal sphincter or the muscles, the sphincter around the urethra. So you have two real sets of muscles. It's hard to distinguish, but ultimately you're doing a contraction that stops you from either urinating or defecating. And so when you breathe in, and that abdominal tension supports the visceral displacement, so as you breathe in, your diaphragm pushes down on your organs. And as long as your ab wall is strong enough to support it, it'll push down onto your pelvic floor, and that gives you some leverage to contract those pelvic floor muscles. So a way to do this, to make it more challenging, or give your pelvic floor a little bit of a workout, is by maintaining abdominal tone, breathing in, and then maintaining that Kegel. So that's going to create an internal pressure that's going to increase intra-abdominal pressure, and that's going to hold those muscles in a contracted state, or help you to use that to maintain a contracted state. And it's really going to help with the stability of the sacrum, because they do attach to the sacrum and through the ligaments around the sacrum, and then the ischium, the sit bones, as they attach there and holds everything nice and stable. It actually helps to upright the spine and keep it neutral. So remember that, guys, if you want to work on pelvic floor musculature, you got to think big picture and how it integrates with breath and with, again, the spinal stability. And if you incorporate these two things along with those Kegels, then you can represent the environment in which we're controlling inertia and gravity and intra-abdominal pressure. So you want to think big picture, not just doing the Kegel in isolation, but how does it apply into function, and how does it help to support the sacral base. So questions on any of that, reach out to us, admin@fluidhealthandfitness.com. Remember, your body's designed to move, so stay in motion, and we'll see you next time.